meeting of the Radnor Shade Tree Commission. This will be a combined meeting for November and December. We'll be meeting again Wednesday, the fourth Wednesday of January as usual. First on the agenda, Villanova University. Anybody here for Villanova? Okay, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about, I think this is not the first time we've seen you guys on this,
This is the
right?
first time for this project, yes.
For this project? Okay.
Yes. My name is Brendan Dorley from Associated Engineering Consultants. The project that is in front of you is a small expansion of Bartley Hall. There's an existing, it's their business school building. It's located just off of Ithan Avenue, next to their main entrance to the campus. On the first floor, there is an overhang that has some outside seating, and Villanova is pushing the wall to enclose that area and therefore pushing the outside seating beyond the building wall. And as part of that development, there's 2 trees that have to be removed, and we will be, the plan that is in front of you shows 2 compensatory trees.
Which page, please, for that?
The last page, L1.1.
Okay.
Shows the 2 new trees that are replacement for the trees that we're removing. But there's going to be more development of the area. I think there's going to be 2 more trees in the project area, but this plan just shows the 2 compensatory trees, but there will be more landscaping as part of the project. But as part of this submission, we wanted to make sure we had the 2 trees on there.
Mr. Chairman, if I may ask the applicant a question.
Sure.
So you're providing the required trees for the 2 being removed. Is there a detailed landscape plan? Although it's not required with this submission, is there something the Shade Tree Commission can look at?
Yes, the last sheet is an L1.1 planting plan. The first 12 sheets are the engineering drawings. The last sheet is the landscaping plan. And the 2 trees being removed are under 23-inch caliper, so therefore we just have to replace it with 2 new trees. And on that plan, you can see that there's areas of shrubs indicated around what will be the paver area. This plan doesn't identify them, but that is being developed.
So you're removing 2 magnolias?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
And you'll be putting into sawtooth oak.
Yes.
Talk to us about if you construction access, if there's any potential for anything else to be possibly harmed, root systems, things of that nature. From what I see, it looks you're going to use the existing parking there or that drive.
I believe they're just going to have their construction trucks parked on this entrance driveway. Which
Okay.
They have a lot of delivery vehicles parked there most of the time.
Right.
So it's not going to be anything out of the question for them.
Okay.
And really, in this front of Bartley Hall, aside from those 2 trees, there's really nothing to speak of other than lawn.
Okay.
Oh, okay, thanks. I mean, there is a tree closer to Ithan, but that's behind a low wall. And there are other trees in the island across, but they're outside of the project area.
So you think a lot of the construction traffic will be in the lane, like they'll park along the curb?
They'll be staged there, I would imagine, yes.
Can you show us that, where the construction traffic will be coming on one of these plans? Just so we can get an idea.
Coming from, or, I believe they would be staged in front of this entrance here.
Which sheet is that?
This is the landscaping plan, but all in front of this Bartley Hall frontage of their main entrance driveway.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to recommend to the commission, and this is not a knock against the contractors you're going to use, but when you get a lot of large trucks or contractors that are going to be parking there, those trees and those islands, you know, when a triaxle goes by, if he goes up and over the curb, it's no big thing. It's not like a car. So I would request that we ask the applicant to ring that inner island with tree protection for the project, just to provide some safety for those existing trees. I think the low wall protects the one tree as it is, the one on the corner, but those three on the island, I would request that the
Yeah,
applicant
sure.
install
Yeah, I
that.
agree.
We can add one immediately behind the curb then.
That would be great.
So that your revised plans then would have to show the tree when you go to engineering or planning, you
Yeah,
have to show those, that fence protection's gonna have to show there.
sure.
Do we know what species of tree those are behind that wall, or the size?
I do not.
That would be
The
Yeah, well, you're gonna
size-
have to include that. We're supposed to have,
The size, we list them all as multi-stem, and I don't believe they're substantial trees, but being that they're multi-stem, I would imagine they're probably 4, 6, 8 inch, probably not larger than that.
right, but what we do, that is part of the requirements, is that when we look at these plans, that the trees, the caliper and the species of the trees be identified on the property in the area where the work is occurring.
Okay,
So we can have John look at that. If you get the tree protection fence on, and then you want to give us the information on those trees also on your
okay.
revised
Specifically
plans.
those 4 trees?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, right.
And I would request also, if you go further into the project, past the crosswalk on the left, you'll see that they're doing some, if you go to the sheet C21,
yeah,
in that, what we would call a pork chop area, there is a tree, and there's a walkway that's being installed. That tree should also be ringed with tree protection fence. And the type.
to the left, that tree is behind, are you talking about to the left?
Right.
There's a kind of a triangle where the new sidewalk is
Right where
gonna
you
be?
had your finger before.
Right here,
Yes.
okay.
You're
I
doing
believe
some
that's a
work there.
magnolia as well, and that is behind, you can see post and chains. That is already naturally behind a barrier, behind the curb.
I would still request that it get the tree protection fence,
Okay.
because again, this is going to be, you're going to have a lot of trucks in a small area, and then you're going to be, and I'm not saying they're going to knock over your posts and chains, but they're going to be putting the walkway in, and maybe they're going to move them to maneuver or do something. So again, that tree should be protected, as well as the species type size should be
Okay.
noted on the plan.
Yeah, that's why we're asking for the whole construction access, and it sounds, like we're asking a lot here, but unless we can see the whole picture of the construction access, we really can't tell what trees are in danger. So we would have to have that tree identified. That looks like a big tree there.
I believe that's a magnolia similar to the other 2 that we're removing, but I can
Okay,
double check
just from the
that.
diagram, it looks bigger, but, so we would need the caliper and species of that tree too,
Okay,
with the tree protection. Yet, you don't have a problem putting the tree protection on that one, do you?
no, we can put it right behind the post and chain. Now, would you be asking for me to put it on all sides, or just the
The
2
construction's
sides?
gonna be on the concrete there, right? On to the, let's see, what direction is that?
I suggest you ring the trees, because again,
In this island as
Backing
well?
up or
It's-
moving around.
right, I would, you're there installing it, it's another
Sure,
50 feet or
sure.
whatever.
Okay? All right, any other questions? All in favor? Aye. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Okay. No. $198 Berwyn Circle. Anybody here for 198 Berwyn Circle?
You here for 198 Berwyn? Me? Oh, you guys just-
198 Berwyn Circle? All right, table that. Oh, so hold on to that plan. Yeah, but... Okay, 526 Montgomery Avenue. Okay, could you please introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about the project in hand?
Good evening, my name is Dave Hughes. I'm an attorney from Plymouth Meeting. I represent ACL Developers on Jones as a principal.
Okay.
They own this property. The proposal is to remove the existing dwelling. Get to the microphone. Ed Hughes from Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania. I'm with ACL Developers. Tom Jones is the principal in the company that owns the property. The proposal is to remove the existing dwelling and construct a new single-family dwelling, grading more than 200 cubic yards of earth, so we need to appear before the Shade Tree Commission, as I understand the ordinance. And
How many
Dave,
cubic?
Dave from
How many cubic feet?
About 375.
Cubic yards.
Cubic yards, yeah.
Since it's more, obviously, since it's more than 200, we need to talk to the Shade Tree Commission about it. Dave from Joseph Estock Engineering will present the plan and talk about the details of the grading.
Okay.
My name's Dave Zepp, and I'm with Joseph M. Estock. We're the engineers for Mr. Jones on this particular property. And the site itself is 37,000 square feet with an existing dwelling on it, as depicted on the plan, that is proposed to be demolished. In its stead, then, Mr. Jones is proposing to build a new structure, pretty much in the same location as the existing structure. We've turned it a little bit to.
Excuse me a second, just a second. Are any of you guys getting a picture on your screens here? Sue, we're not getting a picture on ours. And we can see your thing, so just let us know what sheet you're on, okay, when you're talking.
Okay. The first sheet that I had here that's on the screen right now that I'm blocking was a rendering that we had done to help you ascertain where the new structure is on top of the old structure. But I am now looking at, sheet number 1, which is our existing condition plan, which will allow you to see where the existing structure is, the decks, the patios, and all of that that's supposed to be demolished. The only existing structure on the site that's being retained is there is a small garage attached to the southwesterly property line. We're proposing to keep that, but the rest of the main structure of the house and the patios and decks that surround it are all to be demolished, in addition to some miscellaneous steps, and there's a playhouse that exists on the site that's going to be gone. But pretty much the existing driveway, as it's laid out now in this existing condition plan, will be maintained. It's going to be improved. It's like, Tom, you're going to probably totally repave that and everything. But the location and the grading of it is going to remain exactly the same. The proposed house, once the existing structure has been demolished, will be constructed, and it's probably going to be about 4 feet higher. The proposed finished floor of the new structure is going to be about 4 feet higher than the existing structure. But if I may, I'll turn to the 4th sheet. Actually, if I may, I'm going to turn to sheet number 2, which is the erosion and sedimentation control plan that we have prepared, whatever, because it will allow you to see, where the limits of disturbance are, how the grades are, and then also the tree protection fence that we're going to be putting in, because the existing trees on the site, and they're numerous, are all going to be retained. Particularly, there's 2 large trees to the rear of the existing structure, and they're going to be retained. Mr. Jones is proposing to preserve those trees and not take them down. The trees on the site, there's one arborvitae that due to the way we located the house and how we graded it, in the front of the house, pretty much along the southerly property line, there's a 13-inch arborvitae that, we're proposing to take down, and obviously, we may have to have a replacement tree, but that's the only one that we're proposing to be removed. The rest of the trees are proposed to be retained and protected, with the grading, the proposed grading and everything, the silt fencing and the tree protection fencing that we're proposing on the site should enable, Mr. Jones to be able to construct the new house and not disturb the existing trees that are there.
Where's the arborvitae? Can you point out?
Sure.
Bottom left corner,
There's a,
the only X in
the only X on the plan, if you can see that. And then it's a 13-inch arborvitae, it's the only X on the plan off the bottom of the proposed house with the TBR underneath it. The rest of the trees are proposed to be retained, and caution will be taken during the construction process with the tree protection fencing area to enable those trees to retain and be viable, once the new construction is done. And our thoughts are that the proposed home is more or less going in over top of the exact location of the previous one, that we should be able to have the construction process go through without disturbing the root systems of the two major trees that are there. The 76-inch ash and the 36-inch maple.
Mr. Chairman, regarding the 76-inch ash, they have the tree protection fence, and the new house is actually further away than the old house was. The proposed house is actually further away. But during the demolition of the existing dwelling, my assumption is that there's going to be a lot of roots exposed. And I would leave that to your expertise as to what that will do to that tree. But at a minimum, could we request the applicant add a note to the plan that they will root prune and in some fashion fertilize that tree once that's backfilled and they start to build, the new house, to give it a chance?
Are you digging a completely new basement, or there was no basement to begin with?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Jones to actually describe the condition of the existing house and how he's going to construct the new one.
Yeah, we're going to put a new foundation in.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you dig out the old foundation, a piece of it goes right up to near the edge of that. How are you going to? They're really concerned about how far past that foundation wall into the root structure you're going to go. Because if you go a foot, that's going to really encroach.
Yeah, but
on
we're
roots.
like 13, close to 13 feet away from it with the
From
new house.
But the old house, you're still going to take out the old foundation. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, the old house is, what's it, a couple feet, 4 or 5 feet away.
Like I say, the old house is within 4 feet of where the tree is.
Right, but when you look in the basement of the older home, you don't see any root encroachment or cracks in the existing foundation or anything. It's giving you evidence that those beech tree, those ash tree roots are growing that way.
I'm going to defer because I've just visited the property myself today to take some pictures to present to you, which I can show. So I have not been in the house, but hopefully Mr. Jones hasn't. Did you hear the question, Tom?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
asking about the basement.
Yeah, it looks to me like that was an old shed that they just closed in. It looks like an old stone foundation. I mean, the house is 130 years old, I think, so. It's not like it's 8 feet deep right there.
How deep? Do you have any idea how deep it is?
Probably
3
3 or
feet?
4 feet. I'm assuming 3 or 4 feet. You can't get in there.
Okay.
There's no crawl space, I don't think, underneath it.
Were you asking about for the new construction?
The old.
Okay.
It notes basement access on the existing house. If you look to the right, for lack of a better term, of the 76 ash, under where it says basement walkout for the proposed dwelling, there is basement access for the existing house, I guess.
Yeah, it's about 6 feet deep, the basement that's there now.
Okay, you say it's made out of stone? Does it appear to be made out of stone? Do you recall? The existing foundation wall up by that tree, is it like fieldstone or something, or was it?
That's what I'm thinking it is. It's, you can see underneath it. So,
It would be highly desirable, so that we don't damage any more roots. If you could take that down, sort of like by hand rather than
okay.
a bucket
Yeah,
truck or
that's
something.
fine. We could do that, yeah.
Because a backhoe could easily
Yeah,
tear.
rip it, yeah, okay.
And if it's, you know, if you just take the stone out from the inside or whatever,
Okay.
that will do as little damage as you can. Of course,
Yeah, we could do that.
I'm the engineer, they're the tree people.
Do you have a landscaper you're working with now on this, or?
Not yet, no.
Because it would probably be good to, if you can, without too much, you know, you guys have to plan things yourselves, but it would be probably help to have a landscaper look at these trees and what you're planning and, you know, help you with the protection of them. You say there's a lot of trees on the property, but I don't see that many trees designated on the plan here.
Yeah, they're not big. Well, show me the other one, the landscape plan.
You could say, the erosion and sedimentation control plan does not, actually, if I may, it might show up better. I'll bring this rendering because for purposes of showing the plan and everything, the existing trees, you know, the standalone trees show up on this plan a little bit better. I don't know, does that show up on your monitors okay, gentlemen, that you can see?
We have nothing up here yet on our monitors.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you just point, you can point out the very.
Yeah, I see those down in the western part, if that's north.
Yeah.
The southern, southwestern, I see a lot of trees down there.
Yes.
Other than that, I don't see too many in the property.
No, it's like in the,
They're all clustered,
in
yeah.
the northwestern corner behind the existing garage, there's 3 trees in there.
Uh-huh.
And then you have the 76-inch ash, the 36-inch maple right behind the existing structure, whatever the significant. And then over to the right and everything, the brush growth that we've depicted, whether there's a few, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trees on, I'm going to say, the easterly side of the property in an area that's going to remain undisturbed.
Well, and then outside the area, you've got that 32-inch oak in the bottom left corner, which is way out of the way of anything.
Yes.
It's actually up and down part of the slope.
Okay,
And I'll-
so, yeah, I see 2 15-inch, there's nothing designated there as to what they are. But it's right above the 10-inch oak. That's on the east side. The 14-inch down toward the property line there is not designated the species.
Right.
Yes, you know, some of the trees, we just have the size, do not have the species identified.
But you're not going anywhere near them, is that correct?
Correct.
I did notice that down in the bottom right-hand corner, you have tree protection fencing right by the corner of the property because there are a couple of trees there, like a, is that 22-inch maple right on the property line?
Yes,
And there's a cedar tree?
yes.
Is that tree protection fencing far enough from the cedar tree?
I don't see the cedar. Where is
Right
it?
down here, way down in the bottom right-hand corner.
The lower southeast corner of the property.
Oh, right here?
Right there. See cedar?
Oh, yes. Right. The 16-inch cedar?
Well, that's what it seems to say. Do we need to move that?
And the
tree protection
construction access, have you gone over that with us?
The tree protection fencing next to that 16-inch cedar is close to the tree. I'm sure we could probably adjust things to provide a little bit more separation than what's there, other than the limited space we have with where the existing driveway is.
Yeah. Can you show us on this one where the construction access is? On this plan 2 here?
Yeah, there's a pattern here, whatever, that's like the big letters RCE.
Right.
It's basically centered on the existing driveway and then extending back from the edge for 50 feet into the property. So, you know, this area here, the width of it's 20 feet wide, centered on the existing driveway that's between the 2 edges of brush rows that the brush line that we show on the plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to move that, on the cedar, you're going to move that fence protection out a few feet. toward the construction, right?
That's something that would be easily accommodated if we have to, like, angle the rock construction entrance a little bit.
Right. Now, as far as the one tree you're taking out, you take one tree out that caliper, you're not required to replace that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so,
Wonderful.
But you can.
But yeah,
I have a feeling Mr. Jones would not be,
Right.
adverse of adding a tree.
I had a question about that 36-inch maple. I see here stone steps. Now, that would be new, those 4 steps?
No,
They're existing.
right here in the middle of the plan?
Right.
That location?
They're-
They're existing,
they are.
and they're going to be coming out.
Coming out.
Yeah, just probably, I would imagine, Mr. Jones, with the construction, they could remove them by hand.
Oh, okay.
Your comment about, taking the basement wall out, do it, whatever. Because really what they are is, we have them labeled as stone steps, but it's not like there's a hunk of stone, a plate in there or whatever. It's just stone, and they're stepping down, It's like going to be removed by hand.
okay.
I was concerned about that.
Oh, that ash that's an extraordinarily large tree, and who knows how far those roots and where they go towards the house. I mean, I'm sure that was there well before that house was built, possibly. I agree, we talked about getting a landscaper. You should get a certified arborist to really look at that. There's going to be some disturbance in those roots, and as we said, they should be cut cleanly, if so. I would even suggest, because of any activity around the tree protection, if there's going to be any activity, construction activity around that fencing, around that ash, I would suggest then air spading it afterwards to reduce any compaction that you cause.
Okay.
And possibly a fertilization.
Also, the emerald ash borer is very, very close, and that is a tremendous heritage tree. That's a gigantic tree. So you would probably, in contacting your landscaper, want to have that tree protected. There is for a magnificent tree like that, you can get protection from the emerald ash borer, but if you don't, it's going to be gone in a couple of years anyway.
Talk to a good tree company, not a landscaper. Landscaper sometimes can be like weed whipper, lawnmower guys. And I'd call somebody like Shrine.
Yeah, obviously, that's
or
right.
Jim Ward, one of the local guys who really knows what he's doing.
Sure.
I actually suspect that given there was a crawl space kind of basement, put in there, that those ash roots probably went up. I mean, when you talk about root pruning on a tree of that size, you're into a real world of hurt, because you could, in effect, take the leg, off of that thing and have a problem. But I think if you're in there
Yeah.
carefully excavating, my guess is that at the age of that tree, those roots have found, other places to go. I have one that's about a 60 growing next to my carriage house. When we went down to redo the concrete, there wasn't an ash root to be seen. It had just decided it didn't like it there and had, gone somewhere else.
Sure.
I have a question for you. Question. Would it be better if they didn't disturb the piece of that foundation, if they just took it down to like 6 inches or a foot below the grade and it's filled in behind it, rather than actually remove it? I mean, from a tree protection's perspective.
That's a construction question that you really, got to get into once you're actually looking at it.
Yeah, 'cause the house is going to be like 12 feet away from it. It's
Right.
like 4 or 5, so I could just take it down to the top of the level,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but you got load considerations, given what's going on in there and stuff, and I think it's better just to take a careful look first and see what you're dealing with. You might find hardly any root there at all. And,
Yeah.
It's split years, and you can go right down to exactly what you want to do and not have
Okay.
any impact at all.
I certainly don't know, but I'm sure that's, our hope is that that's what we'll find.
Yeah.
Best of all conditions,
I mean, that's my best guess, just
Yeah.
on, based on my experience with trying to do construction around the big trees.
Could I ask the commission to detail what you'd like? They're in with their grading permit now, so I would ask them to submit a revised permit plan with the specifics this commission would like to see them do, whether it be air spading, fertilizing, whatever you wish, and then Sue can put those bullet points in the minutes. Our engineer will know that that's coming, and the applicant will know that they need to make those changes and resubmit that for his grading permit.
Well, as far as the ash tree is concerned, and in lieu of the homeowner wishing to protect that tree and all the others on the lot, if there is going to be construction close by that, and it's going to affect any compaction of the soil around the drip line, I'd like to see air spading performed by a certified arborist to reduce any compaction, and afterwards a fertilizer put down. And that could be a compost mixed in with that soil, but you want to increase the pore space and the air into that soil from any possible compaction. Something like this you want to try to preserve, and I don't think there isn't anything that you can do that's going to be going overboard with that. I would suggest, again, bringing in a certified arborist to get his opinion about this, and he should be informed of exactly what is going to happen with that construction and how that will be affected. And I think that's a good way to go.
All right, so,
The next thing is to make, if you have to take that wall out, try to take it out by hand rather than,
they already agreed.
right, but I'm putting it for Sue's notes. I have one other question. You're putting in this stormwater retention thing off on the right, correct?
Correct.
And you have a 6-inch line going down there? Is it PVC? Well, whatever it is.
It's a 6-inch rainwater conductor, yes.
I can't get the damn acronyms now. When you're going to trench that with what, like a small backhoe or something like that?
Probably not a backhoe, it might even be like a ditch witch.
All right, but the point here is, again, try to stay as far away from the roots as you can.
All right, so for our motion, I don't think I think you would agree in your plans to do the inspection, the air spading, the fertilizing, and to have an arborist, and to consult with a certified arborist for the future protection of that tree. I don't think we have to go beyond that and actually have the arborist come out before you submit the plan. But just agree that you'll have a certified arborist monitor that situation.
During construction.
Yeah, and like I say, you're going to want to have a certified arborist anyway, too. You're going to want to, it'll all be for naught if you don't protect it from the emerald ash borer. Because that's probably going to, it's probably in our area already. And that's very deadly. It kills every ash if it's not treated. So you would revise the plans. Does John have to, should John see that?
He could inspect it, but really, I think what you've suggested, having the applicant do that, that's more the role of of somebody for them. Whereas our independent arborist would be more to either look at a report from their
That's what I meant.
arborist or
That's
something
have a
like
look at
that.
the report, yeah.
And that would be fine.
Right, okay.
Jack, I have one more question. On your ingress and egress, how are you getting back to your temporary soil stockpile?
Through the area where there's existing stone steps, and it's another structure that was labeled as a playhouse, and then obviously before the underground stormwater, facility, the access will be provided through there. In other words, we would come in through here, these stone steps will be removed, the playhouse will be removed, and in the sequence before this is built, we'd be able to get to the topsoil, the location of the topsoil stockpile.
Okay. In other words, so going well around that 36-inch maple then?
Yes.
All right. Because I assume that hedge does not mean anything necessarily to is future landscaping issues.
That hedge that's shown on the plan, that's an existing hedge, but it's just that, it's a hedge.
Right.
And it's not going to be retained, that's going to be
No, it's
removed.
probably, privet or some old stuff. Okay, I get it.
All right, all in favor of the motion with the stipulations we agreed to and recorded with Sue?
Yeah, as amended, aye.
Yes. Okay.
And then, thanks for the suggestion, because then these comments and everything, will incorporate them into our grading plan, which your engineer you'll have comments on, and wonderful.
Correct, and he'll be looking for them, he'll cross-match it.
Yep, all right, okay. Thank you. Tom, do you have
Thank
any?
you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes. 837 Galler Drive, I think I'm pronouncing it, is that pronounced right? Galler? 830, going once, twice, 837 Gaylor Drive. All right, so Sue, we've tabled Gaylor Drive and we've tabled Berwyn Circle. Okay, so we want to keep those plans. Berwyn Circle. Just make sure I didn't lose it myself here. There we go. Okay, 237 Orchard Way.
Dave Fiorello from Omni and Associates, representing the applicant. The site here is at the corner of Aberdeen and Orchard Way. The applicant is proposing to remove the existing one-car garage and construct in its place a two-car garage. On this plan, you'll see some colored areas, red and blue. They represent slopes that are on the site. The existing garage is right at the corner of the property. We show in the vicinity, we have gotten topography in the area of work, and we located the trees in the area of work. There is what is denoted on the plan as a cluster dogwood tree that has to be removed. That is being shown as being removed. The second sheet here shows the outline of the new garage. You can see where the majority of it is in the area of the existing new area here. Alongside of that will be excavated out, and that existing dogwood is right at the corner, which would be involved. Now, we're constructing into the hillside, so the building is similar to the other one where it is acting sort of as I would call a bank barn or something there that's built into the embankment. So the excavation involved with that would just be pretty much removing the existing garage, redoing the foundation there, and extending the area out further for the new. We're showing a small stormwater management recharge bed on the other side of the driveway in an open lawn area. So the only tree impacts that we have is that existing dogwood cluster. Our erosion and sediment control plan shows the area disturbance. I'm just noting here that we're showing a tree protection fence and the specifications for the new detail, but I'm not showing any tree protection along here, although as I look at that, it's probably would be a better idea to add that along the area of the existing dogwood cluster. Other than that, I think it's a fairly small project. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Yeah. When you say dogwood cluster, I think of a dogwood tree. Are these like multi-stem,
They're
immature
multi-stemmed.
trees?
Yes, I have photographs back in the office. They're multi-stems is what you would call them.
Okay. And-
So at breast height, they're not that big. I guess the cluster starts at the bottom and comes up, so,
And height of these things, 10, 15 feet?
yes.
Okay.
Now, tree protection fence, that is mandatory on these, for us. for these plans, especially unless they're completely, you know, a very long distance from the construction. So the plan should show, for this dogwood cluster, should show tree protection.
Yes, I understand that. By looking at it, I realized that either it was on a layer that didn't come up on the plans, but we'll add that to the plan.
Okay, so you're going to have to submit the plans with that shown.
Yes, I will add that.
Yeah.
Page 3.
There is a 38-inch sycamore right down by the bottom left, by the bottom of the driveway,
Yes.
and you show the tree protection fence on
I'm
it?
showing tree protection along the driveway because the construction vehicles will access the site through the existing driveway. So we're showing tree protection along there just as a safeguard measure.
That's just an asphalt driveway, right?
I'm sorry?
It's just a pavement, asphalt type driveway?
Yes.
But why is there no tree protection on the trees, the 10-inch birch? Because you're continuing up there, right?
Yes, the original design called for that, and frankly, it's probably on a layer that didn't print on the plan. That it was my intention to have that on the plans.
Yeah, you just said that earlier, that you want to extend that up there.
Yes, I'm going to extend that up and provide the tree protection along the driveway up to this point, and then we have that existing dogwood cluster on the hillside
Right.
to protect also.
So those are all birches, those 3 trees going up there close to the driveway are all birches, right? Some of them are not labeled.
Yeah, they are labeled as birch clusters. There's a 10-inch birch, and then there are 2 clusters, again, multi-stemmed.
There's a line that comes down from the left edge of the garage. Is that a retaining wall, or is that just like a
That
curb?
is an existing stone, field stone wall. It's about 2 feet high.
Okay, so that in effect is acting as a barrier between the construction area and the, is
Yes.
that wall going to remain there the whole time?
Yes, it will.
Okay, hi, Andy.
Let them know that. You see what I'm talking about?
And that was probably the
wall. The wall, there's a wall at the left edge of the garage that comes down. It's a white, it's a line.
along here, I think what he's pointing to is,
This line right here is a wall. Right. A 8-foot tall wall.
That's staying.
that is staying, yes.
But in
So
effect, that's actually-
it does, yes.
Okay.
My concern is this 38-inch sycamore down here at the bottom. The edge of the driveway and the tree protection are within the footprint. Do you care? It's an existing driveway.
Yeah, what good's the tree protection on a driveway?
Perhaps if there's vehicles driving by so you don't hit the branches, maybe?
Well, that was my concern. You get a concrete truck pulling in, backing in or whatever. You want to make sure that they stay far enough
Right.
away.
And I know where this property is. I just drove past on the way here, okay?
Okay.
When you're dealing with big, heavy concrete trucks and stuff, is it possible that they could go a little bit further away from that so that it doesn't compress down on the driveway? I mean, how heavy is a concrete truck?
Well,
Is that
the
gonna-
thing is, you're not going to get too much concrete in there. You'll be pouring a concrete probably for the footers and the walls and the slab floor. But I mean,
Yeah.
other than that, it's frame construct, or, block construction for the
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
embankment. So, I mean, there will be trucks get in. That was my concern, was you'd have trucks coming in, and I'm sure they're going to be careful, but you never know.
Break off the branches.
I don't see much you could do about that sycamore than what you're doing. However, you would keep us advised if that tree were to go. And
There's no intent. to
I know,
my
but
knowledge.
what I say
Yes.
is, when we approve a plan like that, if there's a tree at risk, you can't really do anything about it anyway. It doesn't mean we don't care about that tree, so.
understood.
Yeah, you just, we've run into this situation before, so you would let us know and let so that, if the inspector came out and that tree was dead or gone, because you couldn't, something happened, you couldn't save it. Somebody knocked over the tree protection fence and knocked over whatever. So you still want to keep us in the loop about that tree if something happens with it, and then we could talk about replacing it.
I mean, as an example, if that sycamore had really low-hanging branches for some reason and a concrete truck caught a substantial branch, broke it, something like that. Any damage that would harm the tree, that's what we're concerned about. But I mean, with the tree
Understood.
protection there, it kind of does it helps a lot, although it is close to the driveway. I guess what's above,
I mean, given the fact that it's been there and access has been used along that
Yeah,
driveway for
yeah,
trucks in the
right,
past for
right.
I'm saying you
delivery.
can't do anything more to protect it.
Right.
Right.
There's nothing more you can do to protect it,
Okay.
except move it or something, you know? But what we're saying is, what happens is we find that sometimes something will happen, and the tree will be damaged, or it'll start to go, and then you'll say, well, look, we gotta get rid of this tree, but you don't tell us. And then the inspector comes out and says, look, where's this tree? It's supposed to be here. And
Right,
then-
I know we have on the plans, we have notes in there about the tree removals. And if I may,
Tree protections.
Yeah,
Straight
and-
down towards the bottom of the.
and basically, as our replacement tree notes are saying, should any additional trees be removed, additional replacement trees shall be provided in accordance
Right.
with the township. I can add a note to that saying that the township should be advised, or however you feel it should be worded.
That's fine. Okay. All right, so what we have here, we have we need the tree protection on the dogwood.
Yes.
Right.
Now, is that wall sufficient, or do we need to bring that tree protection up at all more?
That wall is about,
The tree protection still stops short of that wall.
yes, and that wall is pretty much a stacked stone wall.
All right.
It's roughly 18, it varies in height, 18 inches,
So the
24
other thing is
inches.
you'll connect that tree protection to the wall,
Yes,
to where the wall starts.
will do.
And you'll just note that you'll advise the township if any trees, or especially that 36-inch sycamore, if any trees are damaged or we need replacement for any of those, that you'll keep us involved, keep us informed on that.
I can do that.
Does that sound right?
Yep.
Okay, with those stipulations, you have all that, Sue? All right, with those stipulations, everybody in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
thank you very much.
I hope none of our tabled customers thought we were going to be here tomorrow, because I almost did. Because when I got the email, I couldn't read the date on it. I was just assuming it was Wednesday. All right, so,
Sue was pretty clear about when the meeting.
To you at least, right?
hopefully that's not what happened to the tabled people. All right, so the hazardous tree removals. Now, Sue, we have one more up here. Is that for hazardous tree?
There's two up there that were approved.
But they're not on the agenda, right?
They're approved by John after the agenda was made.
Right. And let's take the ones that are here first. Any questions on any of the other ones?
The ones we received in the packet, Jack?
Yeah.
No, I didn't have any questions.
So we can see the issue is dealt with here, that the applicant was asked to replant a few trees, but we don't have a response from them.
Well, if the tree's dead. Second one, on Glenmurray Lane.
Okay, one, we did request 2 shade trees for replacement on Radnor Chester. And then one of the applicants donated $250 to the Big Tree Fund. Okay, so John, I guess we'll keep it, he will get back to them, right, about replanting, the 2 that said they would. Okay. So then we have 2 more. We'll look at now, dead red oak. And John saw these 2, right? But on these, we don't have whether they were asked, dead black oak 38 inches, black oak 36. Can't read it. Red oak, 52 inches, wow. Near maintenance building.
Those are all on, that's Valley Forge Military Academy.
Oh, yeah, we got an email from John on those. And he is going to ask them to replace.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, like this one.
This is the 80-foot oak.
Yeah, that's a huge 52-inch
Yeah.
DBH. And the other two are big too, but,
Yeah, we have to, at least suggest replacement.
yeah. So if we could, Sue, if we could get some kind of notification as to what they say, we'd appreciate it on that one.
Will do.
Okay. And then the last one is 264 Radnor Road, Radnor, 70-inch.
You know where this one is? It's basically across from the high school, across from Penn Medicine.
This is the one on Radnor Chester Road, Frank Bonner.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get anything from him on this one, but major decay. See, this is a tree that's not completely dead by a long shot, but it's just big old tree. And this is the kind I think we should get some kind of replacement for, really. Is that a property, have room, that property has room for replacements, doesn't it?
Don't know the answer.
Well, can John get back to us about whether they're going to replace anything on that?
We've asked,
We-
they were notified that they were asked if they could do it. We
Uh-huh.
can't
Request.
Okay. Okay. All in favor of approving the hazardous tree report? Aye. Okay, this adjourns the meeting.
My last.
We should have had a party. At least a drink or something, got out for a drink.
That's all right.
Yeah, we'll miss you. We'll miss you, Doug.
Hopefully in a positive way. Some people miss me in a negative way.
Well, you're thorough, I admit that, but I'd rather be that way than skip things. So it was a pleasure having you, and hopefully you'll come back to us someday. All right.
I learned something about trees.
Doug
Yeah.
has a lot of trees in his yard, so.
Well, I do have a question. Are any of you certified arborists? No. You are. I need to trim a cherry tree. I mean, it's like.
You told